Hey there Night Owls, and welcome to this sixth video in JavaScript ES6 and beyond tutorial series. From this video we'll be understanding more about objects in JavaScript, and in this video we'll be covering about mixins and equalities in objects. Let me in, yeah. In JavaScript, almost everything except string, numbers, boolean, null and undefined is object. So basically integer, object itself, functions, errors and float, this all covers in object in JavaScript. So let us begin with creating objects using shorthand method in JavaScript. So we are inside our #7 folder, which I newly created inside our JS ES6 project folder. Let's create a file and name it index.js as usual. Now let us consider we want to make an object inside this file. For instance, we can have an object for the details of our user, and now this object is to be created by us. Now in most cases we'll have some variables to define our object. For instance, we can have an object for the name and an object for things like profession. Okay, I just forgot the let. And it is for instance again web developer and experience, okay, whatever the spelling is, I just forgot it. Okay, and let's give it 2 years. So we have these three variables already available to create our object. Using those variables above, we want to create our object, and we would simply do name assigned to name and profession assigned to profession and a comma, and then experience assigned to experience. And let us say we want to have something else, for instance contact, and we can have a contact of 888888888. Okay, so but if we are going to do this all the time, it's gonna be a little lengthy for us to do, and since we can see this is redundancy, we are repeating the name of our property continuously. So if we want to do this in a simpler way, we can simply remove the assignment, and using the shorthand property we have an object created with the same details. I'll show you this using our command prompt and run the command node space index.js, hit enter, and since we are not printing this object, we didn't see anything. I'll print this object for you. So we print the details object, we go back, and you can see we have name, coding owls, profession. So we just have the same object, the same things that we wanted. Now let us consider some equalities between various objects. So if you notice that we have a function, let's create two objects, namely details, which is pretty much, let's keep it very simple this time and give it only names, and the next object will be the compare. Let's call it compare object so that we can just name it the way we want. Now let's give it the same thing so that we can have the result as expected. Now let's log, there's a function known as object.is. From the object.is, and then we put the two objects we want to compare, for instance details and compare. And if I save this file, go to our command prompt, run index node space index.js, you'll see it says false because these two objects are not same. But what if we do this? Okay, so look at this and run this, you'll see true. Basically the object.is function returns true only if the two objects are essentially the same and not equal. It might be a little tough to understand, but it is what it is. So object.is says if details and compare are essentially the same thing, only then I will return true. In other cases I'll return false. So it is almost like the triple equals to that we have in JavaScript, except a little bit differences. For instance, if we print the two, I can show you that. So if you log a +0 triple equals to a -0, and we can also do our object, since essentially everything is an object in JavaScript except the other things that I define. So if I say object.is plus 0 and minus 0, if you save it and run it, you'll see this triple equals to returns true for plus 0 and minus 0, while object.is returns false. Well, this is because plus 0 is not minus 0. Basically, for object, it is not essentially the same. These are two different things in JavaScript. Now, also in NaN, which is basically not defined or undefined, if I save it and okay, let's change this one too, so that we can have the right output, and run the file, you'll see in triple equals to it returns false, but for object.is it returns true. Well, this is because our NaN cannot be equals to NaN, because we are saying not a number is not equals to not a number. What this means is that NaN is kind of undefined. We don't know. It is not a number, just that. And according to NaN, if we are saying two things which are not a number are equal, well, we don't know. Maybe two strings can be equal. So we are just simply saying this is not a number. That's it. For object, NaN is kind of an object defined inside the JavaScript, and we have that definition of this object where NaN is number, where NaN is number, and that's why it is kind of object.is, it is kind of equal for object.is. So now moving forward, let us understand what mixins in JavaScript is. Now, before ES6, there was a library Lodash in which we have ._.extend and _.mixin. So that was the functions in Lodash, but we'll understand it in the vanilla JavaScript, which is the ES6 JavaScript version. So let us consider we have three objects. So call them, let's say Thor is the first object, whose weapon, whose power is lightning. Okay, it should be a string. Okay, lightning. And then we say we have an object, Iron Man, everyone's favorite, and even mine favorite too. So let's call it, give it a integer, intelligence 98 out of 100. Okay, I can say yes, a 98 out of 100. It looks decent. And then we can have another object. Let's call Thor. Oh, okay, we did Thor. Hulk, and give it a superpower of anger. So his superpower essentially is anger. Now we're using an error here, that's the assignment operator is required. So we have three objects, Thor, Iron Man, and Hulk. Now I know Avengers contains more than that, but we'll say let Avengers equals to, we want object.assign, and basically what this will do is we pass in an empty object. I'll give you the reason for that in a little while, and then we'll say Thor, Iron Man, and Hulk. I'm telling you, this will be worth your time if you see it very closely. So save this. For saving this file, let's move forward and print this Avengers here, and save this file. Go to your command prompt, let's clear it up and say node space index.js. Now you can see the Avengers object contains all these three properties: power, intelligence, and superpower, which is anger. Now what we want to see here is that there's a drawback of this assign method inside the object class, and it is that the first parameter should always be the parameter which is mutated. Basically we are feeding it an object which is going to change. So if I remove this object from here and then I save it and also print Thor for you so that you can understand what I'm saying. If I say Thor, print Thor and go again and run this file. So what we notice is that our Thor object is equals to our Avengers object. Basically the object.assign function mutates the first object that is passed to it, the first parameter, and upon it assigns the object and it returns that. So we are returning Thor object to Avengers after mutating it and merging the all three and extending Iron Man and Hulk into Thor. So by passing an empty object, we make sure that our Thor object is not mutated. So if you run this now, you can see the Thor still have power lightning. Now there is one more thing that we need to understand. What if we give all of them a special thing? Let's call it superpower for everyone. Okay, so superpower here is God, and for Iron Man the superpower is intelligence and money. Okay, and now if you save it, we have the superpower object for all the three we are extending in our Avengers object. And now if you run it, you will notice how the Avengers object has the superpower of anger and nothing else. And this is because we have passed Hulk as the last object, and that is why it makes the last object's property to sustain. So if you remove this Hulk from here and put it as the second parameters and put Iron Man as the third parameter to the object.assign method and save this and again run this file, you'll see that this time the superpower is intelligence and money, which is based on the last parameter passed to this function. So guys, this is pretty much it for this video, and we will be understanding more about JavaScript ES6 objects from the next video. But if you have not subscribed our channel yet, please subscribe it and like this video and share it to your colleagues. And don't forget to hit the bell icon so you get notifications of our upcoming videos. And as always, thanks for watching.